Okay, we are live. Call the meeting to order. I'd acknowledge the Smoky Valley as we learn, work, and organize the Kansas social transitional and unceded territory of the Smoky people and home that Smoky Newfound. Adopt the agenda. So moved, Mr. Mayor. Second, Mr. Lewis. Carrie, thank you. No one, there's no minutes. Takes us right into petitions and delegations. Uh, each delegation shall be limited to 15-minute presentation unless a longer period is agreed on by two-thirds majority of the council members. And you guys are here to present. Yeah.
Do you have to wait for us to file the presentation to your TVs, Jim?
Oh, you need to let me know that more than during the council meeting.
Is it different than what you sent me?
It's very similar. There's just
Do you want-
animation.
do you wanna-
pictures that
Do you
don't
want
have.
recess for 5 minutes while I hook it up? Or?
Yeah, we have a motion to recess. Make the motion to recess.
I'll find something back here. It's on top. We can just use this slide. It's about raising so probably 6%.
Okay.
Yeah, so the animations aren't really that fancy. So I don't know if it was worth the delay, but I can start just introducing myself. And again, for those of you who don't know,
Okay, we'll bring up, are you online, James?
yes, I am.
Okay, we'll bring up.
Okay. Okay, thank you all. Happy New Year. I'm happy to be presenting to you a little bit this January morning about Net Zero Waste Eastgate. You know, we're the neighbors of the town to the west, just east of Manning Park. And we've, since we first came to the town asking for your support, we've since built a world-class facility there. I'm a professional engineer. I've been doing this for over 20 years. I'm on the Canadian Compost Council. I'm the director in charge of Western Canada. So not only do I have experience within BC, but across the country. So we're going to start by just showing you some aerial photos. You might have just, there's a tiny moment where you can see us as you're driving past Allison, past there, you know, coming to the, going to the west, you would see some big black clouds of soil we've made. But other than that, it's kind of hidden from the road and hidden from everybody else there. And we like that. I'm going to provide a bit of progress and photo information to show what we did with our grant money and what we've done with our own money since we refurbished. It used to be a mushroom facility. I don't know if you remember, but I heard stories about a generator that they would start up that would fill the whole valley with smoke. It was just a huge generator that they used there. We don't use as much power anymore. And then I'm going to talk about some synergies and potential cost savings, benefits, shared interests that we would have with the town, which you might be of interest to hear about. So here you can see from the coast to the facility, and obviously to the town where we are in relation to Manning Park. Most of these slides would be in your package, just some of the animations. It just gives you a snapshot and it's too big to email the whole presentation, but this is what this facility looked like when we took it over from the mushroom composters in 2020. It's essentially a big flat plateau about 200 feet up from the river, draining away from the river to that pond that you can see was full of water there. And in 2020, we had to take some of the sterile equipment out of the facility. They use different equipment than we do to make mushroom compost. These big turners would flip the material on itself, and then they would sell that substrate to a farm in the Fraser Valley and grow mushrooms. That they've now made that facility on the farm in the Fraser Valley, so they didn't need this facility anymore. Which is when we came in and said maybe we can recycle what's there and make this an asset again. So we've since taken all of this derelict equipment out, recycled it. This used to be the tipping bunker in the middle there. And we applied with the help of the town, by the way. You guys gave us your support in 2020, as did the regional district, as did all of the local partners, the North and Canadian First Nations. And we applied and were successful in getting the grant. The whole project was 6.1 million. The grant was only 4 million of that. And you know, we started this in 2020, and then the pandemic hit, and then there was a flood, and there were fires, and then there was inflation. So this 6 million became 8 million in what we had to spend, and that didn't raise from the government. The government just stayed with the 4. So instead of us spending 2, we had to spend 4 in order to get the same product. But we finished what we said we would do and built 60,000 tons of additional capacity. We got this permit from the Ministry of Environment. It's a brand new permit. It's still in the pro. This is the large scale permit. It has it's a few hundred pages long with stipulations, testing, reporting, oversight. But because we finished the construction last year, we applied for this permit, and we have that permit number now. These are some photos showing you what we've done. The old cabin was kind of made of wood siding. It had rats and mice and animals getting into it. We've since tightened that up, replaced all that siding with sheet metal siding, new roof, new roofs, new interior. It would have been much cheaper just to put it down and start fresh. But the whole concept of recycling is what we're trying to instill on this facility. We recycled everything that we're using now, and we've since added $8 million of additional infrastructure. So when we took it over, you can see it was in a pretty poor state. Garbage and clothing and everything inside looked like just a mess. So what we did is we renovated the inside, and we've now made the bedrooms for the staff that sometimes spend the night there. We have 3 separate bedrooms, each with air conditioning and heat, and your own light, your own door, your own bed. We've got a full bathroom with hot water demand, kitchen, and an office. So it's a proper world-class facility now, not like it was before. And the old shop used to be a shipping container, that little green container. We built a building, we applied for permits for each of these constructions, and we've now finished them. We have a place where the staff can work on small tools inside. So we recycled the concrete pad and pond. You can see that pond there. And what you can see are these Gore-Tex jackets. That's a big part of what we spend money on. And they're essentially like a winter coat, but they're 100 some feet long, 20 feet long, full of Gore-Tex membrane. So like if you're a hunter and you were using a hunting jacket, you would probably have Gore-Tex. It's waterproof, so it keeps you dry, but it's breathable, so it lets air in and out. And what animals smell or what humans smell, what we smell is in vapor. It's in that moisture. So by containing the moisture, you contain 97% or more of the odor. So again, I challenge anyone. I was there today, this morning. I'm there weekly. You won't smell it. If you do catch a whiff, it would be a very strange situation. Maybe we're screening, but it wouldn't smell like rotten food. It would smell like compost or soil. There's over 300 of these types of facilities around the world. So, I started as an engineer building these for other municipalities, and I've now started my own company building these with this technology, and this is one of those examples. This is essentially what it does. You can see those are the bunkers. You can see there's aeration channels. We took that old tipping bunker, which was watertight still, but inadequate from the mushroom farmers, and we built a completely new bunker that has a concrete wall separation, and it's totally new concrete. As the material comes in, it's the most risk, because that's when it's still an orange or a piece of meat, and that's when it's leaking. But as you process it, starts to look like compost, starts to look like dirt. And as you get further along that process, it becomes less risk, until at one point the government says it's now fit to sell, you've tested it, and there's no risk. It's been through the process, it's now safe for people to use. Theoretically, you could eat it, because we test it for fecal and pathogens like salmonella, and we have to do that regularly. So, this is kind of what this next photo shows, what the bunkers look like when they're finished construction. Each bunker is watertight, each bunker it collects any of that leachate. If you have a bag of grass that you left in the summertime for a week or two, it will start getting that liquid in the bottom of the bag. And that's what happens. As the material breaks down, it dries up, and that liquid converts to vapor. And that vapor is how bacteria eats new food, because it doesn't have legs. So it kind of goes around the pile in a vapor form. It gets really hot, almost 100 degrees Celsius, and it's like a slow cooker. So we'll find the avocado pits. We've never taken poop, we've never taken biosolids, we've never taken sewage sludge, but we'll find, say, an avocado pit or a coconut after it comes out of the cover, and it'll still have its shape because it might be on the outside of the pile, but you can step on it or you can squish it with your fingers. It's very soft, like mush. And so that inside the pile all gets converted to dirt. And so what I brought is a couple of samples for those of you that, like me, before I started this career, had no idea what compost was. I used to fertilize my plants with Miracle-Gro. It was like these little pellets, and after a week they'd be little hollow shells. And it's a petrochemical fertilizer. I used to fertilize my lawn with a sprinkler and a chemical, same thing. I would screw it on. I don't do that anymore, because I started trying this, and it's amazing how it works. You only do it once a year, and it's a slow release. I'll pass it around. You guys are welcome to open it up. That is the pure organic matter. So normally you would only have 3 to 5% of that in a soil, if you had, say, sandy soil. Now, you might be able to mix it around, you might be able to get a little bit of an odor, but it shouldn't be anything bad, and it shouldn't be stinky or that hedonic tone. It should smell like the forest floor, is what we say. And You know, if you have ever smelled, one of the things I'm going to talk about is a tour because it's easier to show than it is to explain. These are photos from when we finished our construction last November. But I can tell you from the industry, from doing this for over 20 years, compost is being graded at the highest level in the province. We're using it from places like vineyards that you know of in the Okanagan, to farmers in the Fraser Valley, to as far away as Vancouver Island. Compost is going because on Vancouver Island, nobody makes a very fine quarter-inch plot. To make a quarter-inch compost, you have to have a very fine hole in your street. And if you get a lot of rain like they do on Vancouver Island, you only have a handful of days a year that you can actually do that. But because you are much drier here, you get this rain shadow effect from the mountains. You know, whereas Fraser Valley sees 1,500 millimeters, you'll see 300 millimeters in a year. So that allows us to make this quarter-inch plot. And so this is why we're doing this. This is some of the fruit that we've grown: a 5-pound tomato, basketball-sized onion. You know, they're looking for pictures, but nobody wants to buy a basketball-sized onion. You know, or a zucchini that's 3 feet, just 5 pounds. Taking them to the stores because we were producing them, and I thought maybe there's a way to kind of tie it in. We did grow microgreens at a facility in Whistler and started selling it to all the restaurants, and they would give us their food waste when we deliver the microgreens, we pick up the food waste. So in boutique situations it works, but I'm just trying to demonstrate that this is essentially a food for the soil. And
Next time you're trying to sell those big zucchini.
Yeah.
Zucchini bread.
yeah, so they said it's too woody, and they said even if we said sold it for $1 a pound, it's 20 pounds, it's too much. No one's going to pay that. So they want little zucchinis, baby zucchinis. But these are just pictures of the compost we're making. That last one you can see little white dots, those are bags. Because every month or two we have to sample the compost, send it off to a lab. We're spending about $500 per test. And you don't normally do that. So when I took this to vineyards, they make their own compost, and I said, how many times do you guys get it tested? If they're lucky, they test it once a year because they don't have them. So that's why we're getting some good partners, because they understand which means we can be used for certified organic food production. So if you're growing organic wine, which is actually the largest organic, we don't grow a lot of organic food. There's only one certified organic greenhouse in the Fraser Valley out of all of them. So but wine is something that has caught on. There is a lot of certified organic wine, and they are looking for non-chemical fertilizer. Right now they're using manure, which is horrible because manure has seeds in it, has salts in it, not nearly as good as compost that's been through a process and manufactured. Anyway, this is the most important slide. The reason we're here, the ask is we want your support. And we have your support. What do we need to do to regain your support? Can we invite you for a tour to show you what's true and what's on our facility? Because there have been things that have been said in the past that weren't true, and they're financially motivated by other factors. We can contribute to the community. We can provide at-cost processing. So part of getting that grant, we had to do an agreement with the RDOS because it's a government grant. It had to be awarded to a government. So it had to be awarded to the RDOS, who then gave the money to us, and it was called a cost sharing agreement. Part of that had to show real benefits to the RDOS. So what we provided them was at-cost processing of the organic waste at less than half the price that any of the municipalities in Metro Vancouver pay. $50 a ton.
Which they didn't take care of.
They wanted to, but what turned out is they have to go to RFP. And they're going to RFP, they're supposed to go to RFP January, February this year for Vancouver. But independent of the RDOS, you're not going to send your food waste to Princeton or to Penticton or someplace to come back here. You can self-deliver close enough that your truck could, if you wanted to collect food waste, deliver it to us at $50 a ton. That was a 2020 number, we have to update it for inflation, but still, at $60 a ton, that's lower. People are paying $135 in Port Moody and Port Coquitlam and Pitt Meadows, all these places. Those are the rates that people pay in Metro Vancouver. $60 a ton, you could remove your food and yard waste from your waste stream, any organic waste that you wanted to send at that price, extend the life of your landfill, and save money. In Abbotsford, they save $300,000 a year the first year that they started the program. So these are just something to think about, talk about amongst yourselves, but that price was given to the RDOS. We'd like to give it to you as our neighbor, as our closest community. you're part of the RDOS anyway. But they're going to RFP. I'm telling you, my place, no one can touch that number. That's at cost processing.
So what's the first regional district that's gonna be locking that?
You get the same prices now. And if we gave the number, I have to allow for inflation because there's 3% adds up to about $10. So you'd be close to $60 a ton is what the processing price would be, but it's 50, so 2020 number. So, depending on the year, each year we allow for CPI, which most of the time is 2% or so, but there was a year that it's 7, I think, so it makes a difference.
Do you guys have a trucking partner?
We do. We have 3 different trucking companies that we use. We could do, like a stage at the landfill and then pick it up at the walking floor and just move it once for waterment that way, or you could drive the truck directly to the facility. But we do have that information and happy to share it. We don't own our own trucks, but we've got some great trucking partners that are reliable and can help if that's something. Another option is soils. We did speak briefly to your cemetery folks, I believe, because they need some soil sometimes. But whether it's them or Public Works or Community Garden or whatever, we've got soil to donate. We've got test results to prove it's the top level. We've got customers that can give you testimonials. Happy to donate some soil to the community or to whatever. I mean, this is what we make, so this is what we have to donate. And I think there are some real benefits that can come from recycling. It's not just it's literally half the weight of what you would be sending to the landfill. So they are going to come out with this in Penticton. The RDOS said they've done public consultation. It was the number 1 issue they wanted. They are coming out with it for the RDCO Kelowna. Kelowna is one of the last big cities that still doesn't have food waste recycling. So these are 2 big regional districts that are close to us, or part of us, that are now going to be doing this. I'm sure if you were to poll your community, people all have friends and family in the larger centers where they do the food waste recycling. To put a banana peel in the garbage feels wrong now. It's starting to be that mentality, that change. Anyway, we think we could be a really good fit. So is there potential for a spring tour of the facility? Right now, obviously we'd be happy to have you anytime if you're so inclined, but everything's covered in snow, and it's a little bit, there's not as much to see. But in the spring, we're moving a lot of compost. A lot of trucks are coming and going, and we staff up a bit more in the spring. We are open 7 days a week, but I can come and tell you we don't stink. I can come and tell you we make great soil. Bring your truck, fill it up, use it on your own lawn. You'll see for yourself, But you just want to really answer any questions, first of all, any myths, put things to rest about rumors and innuendos that aren't true, and showcase a world-class facility, which I can tell you we have built now. And hopefully, if anybody's interested, come and learn something, come for a tour. So is there any questions?
I do have a question. You might have said it and I missed it, but to get to the soil part,
Yes.
is it just food waste that creates that, or are you mixing it with something?
So you mix it with yard waste. It's a carbon and nitrogen ratio. So if you're taking something that's a lot of nitrogen, in the past you've taken agricultural waste. If you take that, you need 4 times the carbon to mix with it. It's like making a little bread. You need the right recipe. So you need porosity. You need to get the air into the material. It can't be sawdust, for example, because you can't get it into the sawdust. So you need to have sort of that wood chippy, coarse, texture, and then you need to have the right moisture. Moisture is a big thing. So what we've done is the mushroom guys used to have that big pad and everything drained into the pond. What we've done is now added a completely new series of bunkers. There's 12 of these bunkers, each with their own leachate collection and aeration system to a separate enclosed tank. That's really the high test leachate. That's the stuff that after you get it in and you start the process is draining out of it. After we're done that process for a month or 2, we put it on the old pad that the mushroom guys used to use. And any rainwater that comes on that pad or any potential, there's nothing coming out of the material anymore, but there is some dirt and there is some dust. That's considered contact water. That all goes to our pond. And we reuse all of that as well. And beyond that pond and the leachate, we even in the driest times of the year, because maybe there isn't that much water here, what we use for compost, and we have to pull a small amount from the well. But that's much better than in the Fraser Valley where I used to have facilities. You'd have to discharge. Because when it rains and rains and rains, you just have to use that much water in the process. So when you get 5 times the rainwater, you have to discharge, and that's where those facilities would get to problems. Because now with the federal fisheries, they do end-of-pipe testing. And so even if you discharge into a river, if it would be an irrigation ditch, they'll come take that little drip that's coming out of the pipe, and that's what they'll test. So it makes it very hard. You essentially have to build a wastewater treatment plant so that you can drain that little drip, in order to be compliant. It's better not to have any discharge.
So you're not doing any discharge.
We don't discharge anything. Yeah. And that's what was said, in the past about us not being able to discharge. That's a total BS. If anybody can come and show me a photo of anything they want up to, I'll prove there's never been any discharge from that.
When did you guys get your new bunkers and stuff finished?
The last components of it finished in November 2023. And, in that process, trying to operate when you're in construction is not easy. And the other thing that I learned is a grant can be a good thing and a bad thing. Normally, I would build one of these after you get a contract from the government. Say, RDOS gives the contract, then you build it to service the contract. But what happened was we got the grant, and they said, if you don't build it, we take the money away, kind of thing. And we said, well, we don't have any contracts. And it was this chicken and egg scenario. We had to build it. So now we built it, right? And we have a lot of empty capacity, a lot of empty bunkers. So now we really have to go out, and that's why we're here, is to come to you and say, we built it now, world class, watertight, lots of testing, everything can be, proven. We're right on your doorstep, let's start recycling. It's not a lot of revenue for us or a lot of savings for you, but it's a low-hanging fruit. I don't know, you must spend a couple $100,000 on waste disposal. If you could, take half of that and cut that cost in half, it's still something, right? So that's all we're coming to you for. Most of our staff are living in the Princeton area, so we're not a huge employer. We get up to about a dozen people in the summer, but as the business grows, so will the staff. We have a facility on Vancouver Island that employs over 20, and so it's a utility. And in most cases, when run properly, these things don't go away. They're like a landfill that never fills up. And if they can, what we've been doing over the first 4 years that we've been open is getting the soil out to these customers, getting them to try it, giving it away in some cases, because once they've tried it and they have a problem, they come back and buy it the next year. So it sells itself once you get people to just try placing the manure with compost. It's better for the plants and better quality control. We've tested it. You've seen the product. We make other products too, but we can't just pass it on anymore. But yeah, we do make other products. There is a science behind it. In Australia, they use the biggest customer is actually highways. Because you see them here. They spray this green. You'll see chemical down. Actually works very well. But in Australia, they recognize, okay, we're going to recycle all these organics. We need to find a place to use it. So they use these compost blankets, and it's much better at providing this sort of new soil structure for the sides of the highways and everything. Any other questions?
What do you do with the first waste? Like it says it goes to the pond, and then what?
So the leachate, when it first comes in, it goes in the tipping bunker. And that then goes into the first 9 aeration buckets that are brand new. So the pad, the existing pad, it's been there 20 years. So we've repaired what we needed to, but it's not in the best shape. So we wanted to say, we're going to spend $8 million adding new infrastructure. We're going to do that for the front of the process when there is a little bit of liquid coming out of the material. So all of that goes to a 10,000 gallon tank. And that's, like I say, the high test leachate. You could use that for a digester if you wanted to, but we use that. That's kind of inoculant. You put that back on the material at the start of the process again, and it really gets it going. It's like that juice in the bottom of your grass bag or your garbage. But then when it goes to the next phase, after we take it out of those bunkers, after it's been cooked for about a month with steam, Now I'm not really seeing any banana peels or anything, but it does look like, in some cases, wet grass. But it is still steaming and it is still composting. It goes onto the old pad. We put the jackets back on top of it like you saw.
Yeah.
And when it rains, there's still dirt on the loader tires. There's still the odd piece of clump of whatever. You'll see that when you come to the site. All of that drains into that lined pond, and we also use that water as well.
I missed the first part where you used it back on.
That's right. So it's there's two types of leachate. There's the leachate, like the juice from the orange kind of thing, from the rotting food, and then there's your contact water. The government treats both of them the same. So what I'm trying to say is that by buying this whole site and reusing it, we were able to take that $5 million pad, call it that big concrete pad that they did, all of their processing on, and reuse it and catch all that water and reuse all that. So again, like I would say to anybody, the only material that's off the pad is material that we're screening, that we're selling. And so there's no risk there. There's no fecal, that everything's been totally cooked. You know, all of the only thing that would be there could be a contamination, like a plastic bag or a toothbrush or something, and we remove all of that and send that to the landfill. We sell it. So we put up fencing around the site because First Nation has been out to our site quite a few times in the past few years, and we're trying to piece out whatever they'd like to see. One of the things they wanted or were concerned about was plastic, and so I walk that site myself every time I'm out there, outside of the fence and inside the fence. So we've now put a fence around the site, and in front of the fence we put a very small mesh net fabric, because the fence holes are say 2 inches, the net holes are 1/4 inch. So nothing is getting through that fence, and now it's much easier to pick up plastic. So these are the types of things that we could show on a tour, but we're doing our best to really try and check all the boxes for you, so that if there's a concern, let's talk about it. We're definitely not dumping anything in the river. We're not polluting it in any way, shape, or form. So
Going back to that product you were talking about.
Yeah.
Using Australia. Do you guys produce that?
we do. It's
But
they use Australia. It's
fine.
So basically, what you'll notice in arid regions, and you might see it on road highways, you get these longitudinal cracking that goes along the length, not just sideways like this on the highway. And what happens is underneath the pavement, it gets dry in the summer, and as that dries up, it slumps and it cracks. And so on the shoulders, you'll see these long cracks. So what they've proven, and I mean, I've been doing this a long time, but I still haven't been able to Ministry of Transportation to adopt this into their specifications, but what they've proven is by applying compost on the shoulders, the first 2-3 meters of the side of the pavement, and it holds the water better, and it may stop that longitudinal cracking on the highways. So this is happening in places as close as Washington State, as far as Texas. You know, it is coming, but I always say, you know, in many cases, and especially with the environment, you often have to look at what Europe's doing, some other jurisdictions are doing, and we're getting there, you know, but Canada's a lot more spread out and sometimes takes a little bit more time. We are getting there. There's very few places left that aren't composting their food waste. We just did another one of these 4 facilities in Campbell River last year, and now it's doing Comox, Court Meeting, Campbell River, that whole part of the island, and it's happening. I think you heard there was one in Oliver that was recently built. It's got a board cover on it. So yeah, they are coming around, and it works. It makes a really good soil. And so if you can't sell the soil, then what are you doing, right? You're not really recycling. And I hate seeing food waste go onto mines, because the mines do have an application for maybe gas station fuel and things like this, or gas station soils or contaminated soils. But what we're making is the top of the food chain. It's basically, you know, what should be going to produce more food. That's the whole, our trade name is called Full Circle Compost, because we're trying to pass that message on that the banana peel should go back to making more food. And we've done trials with blueberries. We've sold to the blueberry industry, hops, garlic. So we've had some really good local applications. And anybody that, yeah, you can find us online. My phone number was on there, but if you guys can think of any good local uses and applications, community gardens, things like that, we'd be happy to support. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I talked so much there, guys, I got it all out. Won't need to be for another 20 years, but hopefully, I'll get from you. That's what I like to do.
Thank you.
The next thing is to go into Canada. So, with the recommendation to close the vote, just consider. So that would be, there's a big community, we should do it really well. See, so you were about, and,
Why would he think it's the same thing if it's about money?
what's the way to go, maybe? Well, Chris, yeah, I need to look at it is on, so. If I want to need a position of exploration, minor improvements, if the
Thanks again.
council, thank you.
Thank
Council
you.
considers the disclosure, reasonably expected, no interest in this topic.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Cool. All in favor? Carried, thank you. What's that? All that great. Have a good week.
Alright.